What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the Because We Can podcast. I'm your host, Jay the Alchemist, and I am so happy to be here. I came out with a initial introduction video to this new empowerment series that I am super pumped up for and cannot wait to share with you about the hero's journey and how this can connect to our everyday real lives in helping develop our sense of who we are and help us go along a journey to self-discovery. So I am super ready, are y'all, to dive right in. Before we do, for everybody who's returning, thank you so much for all of your encouragement and support and love along the way as I've been piecing together all the pieces for this journey. And for those who are new, welcome. Thank you for being here. I cannot wait to share with you all this knowledge and wisdom that I have been learning and gaining over these past few years that I myself have been going on my own personal journey. If this is the type of content that really gets you going, just as it does for me, like, subscribe, share with everyone that you know so that we can all join in on this hero's journey together. Your feedback is much appreciated, and I hope that I can be a vessel for discovery, for community, and everything in between. All right, what do you say? Let's get into it, and I cannot wait to see you there.
This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
So for the first installment of this empowerment series, I took a bit of time, a little bit more than I wanted to, and I just was overthinking it and forcing it, honestly. So I thought I still want to show up, commit to this journey that we're both on, because I myself am on this journey with you. And I told myself I'm gonna face my fears and I'm gonna show up. We're gonna knock it out, and it's going to be amazing in its most authentic form. And that was one of the guidelines, one of the rules that I had mentioned in the very first introduction video of this series. If you haven't checked it out, you can find it above here and learn more about what this empowerment series is going to entail. Now, I wanted to open up this empowerment series with briefly going over the first part, or the first section of the hero's journey, because there's quite a bit. There's quite a few sections, and it creates like a circular storyline. And I wanted to focus on the first piece of the pie. That would be called the departure. And in famous storylines or story plots of popular movies, you find a hero, a main character that is going through their everyday life. Ordinary life is what we call it. And they are unbeknownst, I probably got that wrong, and they are unaware of the venture that lays before them. So they're just, carrying on with their ordinary mundane life in their ordinary and boring job or school or what have you, right? Responsibilities, obligations that they have. And with each day, they just go back home or end every night wanting more, desiring a better life, a more adventurous life, a more fulfilled life. And the list goes on, right? It just seems like there's something missing. There's always something that could lead to greater potential. But part of what makes it so conflicting and so interesting to learn more about a hero's story is that in that first section, as they're moving through their ordinary world, something insightful or inciting happens, and we call this an inciting incident. And in Spider-Man, I'm going to use Spider-Man as an example. Don't come for me. He's one of my all-time favorite characters in superheroes. In the story of Spider-Man, one of the famous incidences that happened that was very inciting and stirs up Peter Parker's ordinary world is his uncle ends up getting shot by a robber that we quickly find out was the same robber that Peter Parker let go after the robber initially robbed another person, which happened to be the ringleader of an underground wrestling arena that he was trying to earn more money and go out of his comfort zone to do. But he got shot down and didn't get another opportunity from that ringleader or boss. And he was rightfully upset. And he was like, I'm sorry, can't help you with that one. Just like the boss had told him, can't help him with his current situation. And we come to find out that the robber tragically and unfortunately ends up colliding with his uncle and became his uncle's fate. That was very traumatic and disheartening for Peter Parker, and that's one of the initial catalysts that changes his way of looking at himself and his life and his purpose. And from that day, he vowed to never let anyone else even have the potential to end up in that situation of unsafety and concern to the future of a total stranger or bystander, So in talking about that, thinking of our own life and connecting that back to how does this apply to the real world? Because obviously we can all be movie fanatics, but it's not relevant until it resonates, right? Until we connect with a superhero or character in a story. When you read a book, it's like, man, how did this author know about my situation, about my hardships? So let's connect it back to our life, to our real ordinary world. To break this down, we'll start with, what does our ordinary world look like? What is our everyday, mundane, a lot of times lifeless type of experience, type of day, type of situation? Let's think about that for a moment. And then let's move to that inciting incident that shook up your world, that made you think of possibilities outside of your natural comfort zone. Just like Peter Parker, when he gained the new desire to be greater than himself, to help those that came in his path, right? A personal reflection from my life, and maybe this can help as an example. My ordinary world tends to revolve around this incessant feeling that I could do more with my life, that I could achieve bigger and better things, that I could rise up to the challenge to be bigger and brighter, more adept, more knowledgeable, more perfect. I feel like my ordinary world has been one that looks like everything is on repeat every day. Go to work every day, doing the same tasks, same job, and feeling like I'm not giving back or not having meaning to my work. Same thing when it came to school. I had like this love-hate relationship with school all my life, but it didn't intensify until I got to college. And I honestly didn't think I would be able to make it through, but miraculously I did. And I still am like, how did I do that? But I digress. I'm very thankful and appreciative that we made it through the 4 years and a little bit of the master's afterwards. But before we get to the inciting incident, I do want to ask, what, in comparison, in contrast to your ordinary world, what does your dream life look like? And sometimes I ask this question because sometimes it helps to create a clearer picture of what your everyday face value life looks like when you compare it to that dream life that you've always wanted and that you've always wanted to achieve, right? Like black and white. Really, we want it to not be black and white, but for some people it's night and day, right? So with what you have in mind as far as your current life that you're living right now, let's compare it to that life that has so much meaning and purpose and just awe about it. Let's not say your current life is not meaningful and purposeful. It is exactly that. But there's something in our peripheral, in our perception of our current life that is making it feel so ordinary, so bleak, right? Let's look at it from the dream life. Okay, so an example from myself is the dream life that I've always wanted from a young age, from a young person, little kid. I've always dreamed of becoming a performer of some kind, someone that is an entertainer, life of the party, someone who is articulate and is good with their words and can communicate with any kind of person or any kind of message, just to be a master of all trades instead of a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's kind of like that, where I just feel so confident and so equipped no matter what occasion lays before me or situation. I have the withal to conquer whatever is before me, right? That's the kind of like big picture dream life that I aspire to live, and also one that is very fulfilling, very purposeful, where I'm serving others and creating long-lasting change in this world. And honestly, like most importantly, having that love, that self-love, and that peace of mind, I think, overall. And whenever you're thinking with me about this, search for the feeling, that emotion, or those emotions in the images, in the pictures that come to your mind, because that's going to be really important in the manifesting and bringing to life your dream life. Because I have to caveat and take a moment to remind everyone, including myself, that our dream life is possible and can happen at any moment. So literally, as we're sitting here together talking about this, our dream life is in the works. It's in the making. It always has been and it always will be. And I just need to remind everybody about that. Secondly, our current life is not negated by the fact that, like I had mentioned earlier, it does have meaning, it does have purpose. Everything we go through, no matter how painful or how bland or how meticulous it can be or it can feel, it is all part of the journey, the hero's journey. Aha, right? It's all part of the plan, the master plan to what our greatest potential can be and already is. So let's circle back. Let's reconnect with the theme and topic of this first section. So going back to the first piece of the pie, the puzzle, the departure, the ordinary world, stepping foot into what that looks like. Coming back to that, the next thing is the inciting incident. So when thinking about inciting incidences, let's connect it back to us and some of the inciting incidences that we've personally gone through, right? So to give another example to help lay this out, an inciting incident for me, I've had many, so it was a little hard to pinpoint, but one of the inciting incidences that really has ignited me to really take life seriously and to be intentional with every day has currently been my health, and has been for a long period of time. But I don't think I made the connection until just recently. I had to go through a long history to become aware. And I wanted to use this example in particular because inciting incidences can happen at any time and can be unexpected or expected. It really just depends. on each of our life circumstances and life experiences. And I really wanted to make note of that because I could have very well picked a few other major inciting incidences in my life that really changed my trajectory, but in exploring further of what part of your life you want to dissect further, it's really great to keep an open mind about what is happening currently in your life, what has happened in your past, and what still remains in your future. And I want to pick the current because I really have been struggling with my health lately, and I can choose to look at it as a hindrance and as an obstacle. And trust me, there's days where I feel defeated and I feel like I'm never going to get better, and I feel like I'm always going to be familiar and used to not feeling my best. And that scares me. But I also know and believe in my heart that everything we go through is for a purpose and for a reason. And I really love seeing other people, whether they're public figures, whether they're a person in my ordinary life, in my everyday life, who share their story and their struggles, because it helps to ground oneself and ground myself that I'm not the only one going through something like this or something similar. But I know that I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to rise above, and I'm going to do everything that I can in my power to recover, to heal on all levels. And it really speaks to the fact that our physical health is interconnected with our mental health, our spiritual health. It goes on, right? And when one is out of balance, the rest are out of balance. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And also, when we have traumatic experiences and traumatic events that we go through, it can really make a dent, make an impression on ourselves and our outlook of life and the way that we interpret everything around us. With health and with vitality and with the energy that it takes to go about one's day, I didn't realize how crucial it is to take care of ourselves and to feel the best that we can feel. Because when that's out the window, you feel like doing not much of anything, right? You feel like you are very disempowered, and just getting through a day is your main goal, right? I don't want to live like that. I don't want to subjugate myself to a life like that. And I have to do everything I can to remain calm, to remain centered, and to empower myself that there's more to this. And I always hear that whenever we're about to have a breakthrough, something or a multitude of things come in our way to try to stop that. And I've been reminded by so many people in my life that on the other side of our fears lies our greatness. So with this inciting incident, it paints a picture of how we view ourselves in situations where we're under pressure, where we're not feeling good, where we're not feeling that we're at our highest level or capacity, right? This can leave us with feeling inadequate, imperfect, unequipped, unprepared for this hero's journey that we're embarking on, when I can't even get out of bed, or when I can't even make it through a day where I can be happy and energetic and lively, right? And that can lead us to comparing ourselves and feeling like we're not deserving of this prosperous life that we can't even imagine for ourselves, you know? So that's the inciting incident that is an example, and I hope it has helped you in pinpointing an incident or two or multiple incidences in your life. I think it's great to identify all of those moments because it leads to your catalyst, your why, your driver to accomplishing your mission. Think of a time when there was this situation or moment or moments in your life where it left you with a call to action or a call to adventures, what the next following effect is in the departure from going from the ordinary world to the inciting incident, and from the inciting incident is the call to adventure. And the call to adventure is pretty much summed into this. The call to adventure is that phone call from the universe, from God, from the creator, from source, is giving you a call. It's like, hey, pick up the phone. Your mission is waiting for you. Your destiny, your divine calling, your purpose is here. Now, hop on it, or it's going to get delayed. It may not happen. We have the choice. And that's something that I want to emphasize and make known. Life is always going to happen. Life is always going to continue. And it took me a long time to realize that the choice is ours. The choice is for the taking. The choice is yours. Sometimes we don't answer that call the first time it rings. Sometimes we don't answer the call when it rings 100 times. But another important reminder is that there's always going to be a call and there's always going to be a choice. And not choosing is a choice as well. So the inciting incident is what makes us spring to action, what something calls upon us to further investigate, further reflect, further explore, because there's something there. There's just something that is picking at you, nudging you, poking you to take a look at and consider. And that consideration leads to the call to adventure. And that begins the hero's journey. That begins our mission in life. That begins our greatest potential and path to our highest selves.